Hi guys, in a move that will no doubt upset Brexiteers, it looks like the Tory government, or at least this one, is starting to come clean about some of the problems of Brexit and the realities of being outside the single market. Now, the Times published a story on Saturday that claims senior government sources are considering a Swiss-style deal with the EU. Let me start off by saying I don't see this working, and there's a good possibility it could fall apart before it has even begun. There are a number of stumbling blocks. First, there is the current agreements between the EU and Switzerland. Where we stand today was following a long and difficult slog. Now, Switzerland has been holding votes on EU issues since 1972, with the most recent one in May. While some have been a close call, most have been passed with enthusiastic support. While in Switzerland referendums are the way to go, the UK instead would rely on votes in the House of Commons. This could be determined by who is in charge. There's a risk that vital progress could be slowed down or stopped completely because of a resistant party in power. However, if the UK truly wants to copy what Switzerland has, then there would have to be some massive compromises. The Swiss are rule takers. They don't decide on how EU laws are made. They provide input, but the final say is always with the EU. Now, I'm not sure what the taking back control people would make of that. Now, Schengen has been raised as an issue, but while Switzerland is part, Ireland is not, and due to the common travel area that dates back about 100 years, it would probably exempt the UK from being requested to join Schengen. Now, we tend to forget the EU in many of these discussions, and the European Union has viewed the process in which Switzerland eventually sees itself today as being somewhat painful. The EU may not be in a hurry to go through that once again. And if they do, the EU would make certain demands that would be difficult for politicians to get through Parliament. The European Union would likely demand a return to freedom of movement, if not fully, pretty much close to that. They would require the UK to pay for access to the single market. Now, while this would be something like 0.02% of GDP, which would be pretty much nothing compared to the cost of Brexit, 4% of GDP, it could be difficult to sell this politically in Britain. Finally, there's the issue of the ECJ, the European Court of Justice. Now, while the UK did sign up to its jurisdiction in Northern Ireland as part of the withdrawal agreement, it would have the final say on EU-implemented law in Britain. The process would be long and difficult. It would require changes to be pushed through the House of Commons, and it would likely face stiff resistance from the likes of the ERG in Parliament. While polls point to a Labour landslide, it must be remembered that this is a long drawn-out process that could take probably about 10 years, and that would span a number of parliaments. Now, it does strike me as early for the Tories to be talking about closer alignment with the European Union, but perhaps many are finding it more and more difficult to defend Brexit. However, before any discussions began, it would be necessary to sort out the Northern Ireland Protocol, the one the UK government has not been implementing properly. Look, I don't believe a Swiss-style deal is the way to go. The economic gains compared to full EU membership are not really worth the cost politically. But tinkering with the current deal or trying to sell the public a Swiss or Norwegian deal will not cut it either, and these will not undo the damage of Brexit. Full EU membership, but in a reduced capacity, is probably the best the UK should be striving for, and that will take time too. This could all be a testing of the waters exercised by the government to see what sort of pushback there is from Brexiteers both in Parliament and outside it. Either way, I think many people don't understand what is necessary to undo what happened back in 2016. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.